St Machar's Cathedral is a Church of Scotland church in Aberdeen, Scotland, located to the north of the city in the picturesque SEATON Park, found in the former borough of Old Aberdeen. Technically, St Machar is no longer a cathedral, but rather a high kirk, as it has not been the seat of a bishop since 1690. St Machar's is a welcoming church that aims to gather new disciples. The congregation is diverse, coming from all over the world and from many different denominations. The church is witness to 1,400 years of faith, with a history dating back to around 600. The present building dates from the early 15th century and has a famous heraldic ceiling from 1520. Services happen every Sunday of the year, one at 11 a.m. and one at 6 p.m. A walk through the busy graveyard leads you to the grand front door of the church, and we are welcomed in to the Church of Scotland Cathedral of St Machar. This has been the site of a Christian church since 580, when legend says that St Columba of Iona sent his disciple Machar to convert the Picts on the east coast of what we now call Scotland. The church was probably rebuilt several times before it was made the cathedral of the Bishop of Aberdeen by David I, King of Scotland, in the 1130s. The new cathedral was begun in the 1150s, and a new choir at the east end of the cathedral was built around 1300. However, the nave was probably destroyed by troops of Edward III of England when they sacked Aberdeen in 1336. This church was built between 1380 and 1520, but only half the original. The eastern part collapsed in 1688, and the great arch was filled in to create a rectangular building. The exterior, the great western towers and the 7-lance west window were begun around 1380. They are the oldest surviving example of a building in dressed granite, but they do not prepare a visitor for the surprises which come inside. The organ. St Machar was famous for its music up to the Reformation in 1560, but the Protestant Church banned the use of musical instruments. The ban was lifted in 1864. St Machar installed this organ in 1891. It was designed by Henry Willis, one of the greatest English organ builders. It has been recently restored to its original state. The nave. Look down the central aisle. The short pillars and the flat ceiling are most unusual and suggest that this could be considered an early Renaissance building, probably inspired by the churches of the same period in Italy or the Netherlands. The nave was erected between 1420 and 1450. The ceiling. The ceiling was erected in 1520. This is probably the earliest flat ceiling in British public building and is a work of art of international importance. It illustrates the verse of Psalm 47, "The shields of earth belong unto the Lord." The 48 shields represent the Church, Europe and Scotland in 1520, proceeding in 3 lines towards a figure of Christ, now missing, which would have stood above the rood or cross screen further east. The ceiling affirms Scotland's place as one of the countries of Europe. It also suggests Christendom united under the Pope in opposition to Martin Luther, who protests about corruption in the church. The naked stone walls are a striking feature of the church today, but in the 1400s these would have been covered with plaster, decorated with pictures telling Bible stories, the scene from the life of Jesus. Decoration was probably painted over after the Reformation in 1560, when the church changed from Catholic to Protestant worship, bringing in a plainer style. The plaster crumbled over time and was removed in 1920s. The chancel. Move back into the middle of the church and face the communion table, the altar. Above the table is the church's newest stained glass window. Installed in 1953, it replaced the one destroyed by the air raids during World War II. It tells the whole story of the salvation, beginning with the birth of Jesus at the bottom, going up to the Last Supper, and then to his crucifixion, with Christ in glory at the top, flanked by Scottish saints. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep watching us for more travel videos going to different and interesting places and looking at the history of where we are going. So don't forget, if you like it, remember to subscribe to our channel and help us grow a little bit. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye for now.